everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Sisterly. You know the drill. You're here with Rebecca and Olivia, and we're so excited to be back for another episode. Today's episode, we're going to be talking all about adulting and like how hard it is, and
Like things that we
and
took for granted
yeah,
and
what
hacks.
what we've been struggling with, and hacks, how to make adulting
Slightly
easier.
less struggle.
But
Plus.
before we get into that, we just gotta chit chat, catch up. Rebecca and I were just talking like prior to recording, and I was like, we gotta turn on the recording because we're just
Yeah, we
talking
gotta
about
save the content for the pod rather than just chatting at each other.
right. Like we're gonna forget about it because there's a lot happening in the
Tomorrow's the
world.
Met Gala. Well, actually, as
Yeah.
we record this, tomorrow's the Met Gala. When this
Yeah.
airs, the Met Gala will have just happened. So I'm ready for the looks. I'm
Yeah. It's
excited. I hope people show up on theme. I get really mad when people are like, there's like a big theme and they're just like doing something really boring. And I'm like, this is like your chance
totally.
to do something fun.
Totally. It's just like funny because I feel like you and I in general aren't necessarily people who are like super invested in like, I mean, we love celebrities, but like we're not very judgy.
No, I'm like, I don't care what they do.
But then it's like
I
the
just
Met
ignore them about
Gala,
it.
and I'm like, what are you wearing? Like, that is not on theme.
Well, that's the thing. It's not even I'm like, oh, that's not cute. I'm like, it's not on theme. That's the only thing I care about.
Right.
It's like you're at a themed party. You have to wear the theme.
Right. But also, too, I am not necessarily like with high fashion. And then I'm like, ugh, Kim Balenciaga again. And I'm like, what do I care? What do I care?
But you know what? I am excited to see her and Pete Davidson. I hope he's there.
They better
She
go
did
together.
a hard launch of him on Instagram lately. And
Yeah,
I'm
they've
here
been
for it.
hard
You know what?
launching.
I find myself rooting for them.
I'm
I
rooting
like
for them
it.
so hardcore. I was saying this to my friends today. I think that their relationship makes Kim feel more relatable.
Yeah. She seems more human.
Yeah, she
With
seems more
Kanye,
down to
they're like
earth.
aliens. And I'm just like, who are you guys?
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. Like Kim and Kanye give off like standoffish, not very welcoming vibes. Kim and Pete, it's like
Seemed like a good time.
seem like a great time. It's like girl goes with guy who's just like good to her and is funny and like treats her like a queen and like,
Yeah.
also brings her down to earth, reminds her that we're all just, living in Staten Island with our moms.
Yeah.
So
I love that
I'm
for
thrilled
him.
for them. Yeah, I can't wait for the Met. I hope they have some of the Bridgerton people there.
Oh my god, imagine if Anthony is there. What's his name?
Would
Jonathan Bailey.
die.
Love him.
The only thing that makes because like
Wait,
originally
who are the hosts this year?
the hosts this year are Regina King, Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I always like Blake Lively's outfits.
Yeah, well, because she goes with the theme.
Yeah, she stays on theme, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. So anywho, can't wait. I'm also glad it's like I liked last year's theme. I kind of hated when the theme was like camp.
Well, camp is like hard. It's like unless
It's
people
very-
really nailed it, there was a lot of meh. Like,
Yeah.
not quite it. Like, what is like? I think people were a little vague on what camp means. So
Well, and then there's like that one quote about how camp is like 1,000 feathers or 1,000,000 feathers. So then you had like some people doing absolutely nothing, and then you had like people in feathers.
yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah. I liked the one that was kind of like, I forget what it was called, but it was like kind of religious.
Yeah, yeah.
And Chadwick Boseman came in like a fire outfit.
That's when Blake Lively had that like incredible gown that was red.
Yeah, with the long train.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
And I remember Gigi Hadid had like a really pretty thing that was supposed to be like a stained glass
really
window.
good too. Yeah. She always looks really good too.
I feel like Carly Kloss always comes in with like the worst outfits.
Yeah, she just comes in often with like a very simple dress. And I'm like, how is this the theme?
She's wearing like a little black dress to like a camp themed Met Gala.
Yeah.
What the heck? Anywho, I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited for the looks. Catch me scrolling on Instagram Monday night.
Yeah. Also, Rebecca and I were just talking about how tempted we've been lately to like restart and like an 8-season long teen rom drama series, and like someone needs to talk us off that ledge.
Yeah, I don't have time for this, and yet I keep like once a week being like, should I watch it? No, I don't have time. Well, maybe No,
I
no, I
know.
don't have time.
Well, I just finished another season of Married at First Sight, and I think I need to take a break from it because it's, like, a lot. It's a lot. And, yeah, I need a little reality well, no, I don't need a reality TV break, that's a lie, but I just need a Married at First Sight
Let's not
break.
do anything drastic, like
Yeah.
stop watching reality
No, that's
TV.
not gonna happen. Well, because also I'm very behind on Real Housewives of New Jersey, so I need to catch up on that. I'm also gonna keep
Mm,
watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians, that's not gonna stop.
yep.
I just need a Married at First Sight break.
Yeah, I've been watching season 14 of Married at First Sight, but I'm only on the honeymoons, so I still have a lot to go. But it's
Yeah.
it's already wild times, and season 14 is in Boston, which is like why I wanted to start with that, and it's just it's wild stuff.
I mean, hopefully you run into these people. Can you
I know, I'm
imagine?
like, could you imagine if I just like saw them out and about? But I'm like, I can't see them out yet because I don't know how their season ends. So I'm like, I need to get
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
end
yeah.
so I know what happens.
Ugh. But that's, like, pretty much what's going on in our lives.
Yeah.
I got my nails done. Shout out Lynn, my girl, hooked me up once again. Incredible nails.
Yeah, they look really cute. You should put a photo of it on our Instagram.
Oh, I will. Oh, I should do, like, a nail, like, photo
You
dump.
should. Oh my god, you should do like a series because let me tell you, listeners, Olivia's nails are fire constantly.
If you want me to do a nail photo dump, I need you to DM us on Instagram, and then I'll do it. I'll post my most recent ones because 'cause I'm not, like, trying to gatekeep too much here, but, if you want, like, an actual one, let us know, and I'll do that.
The people
Um,
want it. I want it.
I did that. I went for a hike. That was fun and naturey. Rebecca doesn't have COVID anymore.
Oh yeah, good
Snaps.
stuff. I was testing positive for a while there, even though I had my symptoms had resolved days earlier, but we're officially negative. So we love that for me.
We do love that. I just made a banana bread. It's, like, March 2020 up in here.
We're just in Groundhog Day, just right back at it.
Yep. Okay, I saw something online that I probably should have fact checked before I bring it up in the podcast, but I'm still gonna bring it up. That Dr. Fauci said we are, like, out of the pandemic phase.
Yeah, he did say that. I don't know what that means per se, but I did see a quote that he said that.
Okay, so we won't speculate any more than that because I don't wanna, like, spread false information. We will just say that, yes, he said that
Yeah,
and
I just
nothing
think it's
more.
interesting because it's like I do know a lot of people right now who are getting COVID or like the latest
Right.
variant. So it's like very much still here, but at the same time it seems like it's maybe affecting people less intensely. And so
Is
maybe that's what it
this
means. I don't
yeah,
know.
is it like when a hurricane goes to, like,
A
a
category whatever
or like a
2.
tropical storm?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When
It's
it
like it's
goes
still here, but it's like
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
quite category
Right.
5.
It's like it's still bad, you still don't wanna be outside, but, like, it's a tropical storm.
Right. Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
There's no science behind this. Please, someone else do the
Yeah,
research.
yeah, 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 yeah. These are not claims at all. These are just general musings. But Rebecca and I were talking about what we wanted to chit chat about on today's episode, and we had some topics in mind, but I felt like we've both felt like last week's episode was like a little heavier just because we were talking a lot about like disappointment and how we manage those feelings and, when disappointment comes up. And like, I loved that. I hope people enjoyed that episode. If you haven't listened, you totally should. But we also want to like switch it up and make sure that we're like keeping it light and fun on here. You know? Making you laugh, making you do a little giggle.
Yep, reaching the broad spectrum of emotions. We have fun and we laugh, and we can talk about the deep things too.
Right, because that's what life is. Like there's a lot of hard stuff that goes on all the time, but it's also fun and joyful and wonderful, you know?
Yep.
Both things can be true. So we kind of wanted to talk today about like adulting, and I feel like this I wanted to talk about this because so I am now 25, as we should all know because you should have all listened to the birthday episode where we really talked about it. And I feel like I feel like a proper adult. Like I feel like I'm an adult. But at the same time, I don't necessarily feel like I have it all figured out, which I would argue that a lot of adults would probably say they don't have it
Yeah, I
figured
feel like
out.
most of us are just faking it till we make it. No one knows what's going on.
Yeah, but I feel like we're in a unique position where it's like we're both adults. We've done this for a few years. Like we've learned some things, but we also have like a lot to still learn. Like
Yes.
are by no
Much to
means
learn.
experts, and these are just kind of like almost like our findings from the first like 5 to 7 years of really being an adult.
Yeah. Yeah. Because yeah, we were saying like adulting sort of really happens like when you're sort of out living on your own. And for Olivia and I, we both went to college after high school. And so that was like kind of the beginning. But even then, we were like, it's not really like the full sort of quote
Yeah.
adulting experience because you're like in an environment where you're still like supervised, you've got RAs, you've got teachers. And, we lived in dorms. And so you really didn't have to do all of the things like to take care of yourself. Like you had to get yourself dressed into class, but there were dining halls and things like that. So a lot of the sort of real like, oh, time to be a big girl and figure out how to do this like moments happened once we left college and moved to a city and just like lived there. For me, after college, I lived in New York City. And for Olivia, after college, she moved to San Francisco. And that was sort of just like the first time for each of us that we had to sort of like really look out for ourselves
Mhm.
and be responsible for everything we're doing and for getting places and for feeding ourselves and paying our bills and all those sorts of things.
Totally. Yeah, I think it's so interesting. I don't know why I made this decision, but I also do know why I made this decision. When I graduated college, the day after graduation, I moved out of my house and moved to San Francisco. And I feel like that was a questionable choice, but I think I did it because I was honestly like bummed that college was ending and I needed like
To be on to the
something
next
else.
thing.
Yeah, like I couldn't like sit in it. I needed to be like, all
Onwards
right,
and
this is
upwards.
done. Yeah. And, but yeah, so, like, I moved to San Francisco, and, I mean, I've spent time in cities before, but I was definitely overwhelmed. Like, I didn't know a ton about San Francisco, even though I went to college kind of outside of the city. I think we Rebecca and I have mentioned we grew up in Connecticut, so, like, I didn't grow up spending time in the city. Like, I didn't really know how to navigate it. I moved into an apartment that, like, I had gone and seen, but I didn't really know much about the neighborhood. Like, I just knew that I could get to work from there, and I moved with one of my best friends and one of my roommates from college. We moved into this new apartment, and it was a lot. Like, it was literally like getting slammed in the face with, like, "This is now your new life," and I had no idea that that's what it was gonna be. Like, all of a sudden, I had a job, and I went to work, 5 days a week from, 9 to 6, and, um, I mean, obviously, I was in college and doing stuff, but, like, you have a ton of free time in college. Like, yeah, you go to class, but you're in, like, 4 classes, and you're there, I think in total, I had, like, 10 hours of class a week, and, yeah, you have a lot of work to do outside of that, but let's be real here, like, you have a lot of free time
Mhm.
to just, like, do whatever with your friends, and then I moved to San Francisco, and it's like, "Oh, no, you have to work constantly," and I was like,
Yep.
"Oh, okay. Interesting, interesting." Um, and also, like, you have deliverables, like, you have to, you know, really contribute, like, it was different from a summer job where it was like, "Alright, like, everyone knows I'm here for 8 weeks, and I'll, work when I work and make some extra cash," and, it was very different. It's like all of a sudden I have to have a work wardrobe. Like, what? And like I have to start taking public transit. Like I need to figure out how to navigate the city. Um about a week into living in my apartment, I woke up at like 6 in the morning to a man screaming. I mean, I think something was up with this man, but screaming about how he was gonna burn everything to the ground. Like, hello. Like, we
Yeah,
are
there's
not on
just
campus anymore.
oh, it's just so many things. Like, yeah, I had to learn how to like navigate the New York City subway. And let me tell you, you see a lot of things on the New
Mhm.
York City subway. And you quickly become desensitized to it in New York. Like, New Yorkers are just completely unfazed by absolutely anything and everything, so I learned how to adapt that, but just, like, yeah, you leave this college bubble, and then you're like, "Oh, wow, like, there's just all this stuff now." I remember my apartment got mice, and I was
Oh,
just like,
yeah.
what does one do about mice in your apartment?" Like, I had an experience like, maybe there was once a mouse in our basement in our home or something, but I never saw it. I never had to deal with it, and now it
Yep.
was just like, "Oh, there's just, like, a family of mice who wanna make my apartment their home? Like, what do I do about this?" And, like, had to set traps, and in my first apartment, I had no laundry. Like, there was no washer dryer, not even for the building. And I had, like obviously at home we had it, and I would do my own laundry, and then at college we had, like, a room for it, but I, like, was like, "Oh, I have to go to the laundromat now," and I was, like, getting all
Yep.
my quarters and, to, like, lug it there and lug it back, all floors up my walk up to, like, carry it back. It's just so many things that you just didn't have to do, and now it's, like, a part of your, like, weekly or daily routine.
Yep. I remember when I first moved to San Francisco, I was, like, terrified to go outside when it was dark out. Like, I just in my defense, I did move to an area that was slightly less safe than I originally thought. Like, it ended up being totally fine, but there was just, like, a lot going on my street, as I mentioned with the screaming, like, I just anywho, but I literally like, if it was dark outside, I was not walking alone, like, I was afraid to go out by myself. After a few weeks, I realized, like, because I moved in the summer, but then all of a sudden it's like, "Oh, okay, it's starting to get dark at, like, 5:30, like, I have to leave this place, like, I can't just stay here, you know?" But it's
Yeah.
scary and, like, I didn't know where anything was, like, I knew how to get to work, I knew how to get to the grocery store, and, like, that was it for a while, which was kinda sad, but then all of a sudden you're like, "Alright, I need to like, I wanna explore, I wanna go get dinner places or be able to, like, show people things when they come to visit." Um, so yeah, I just feel like there's a lot that kind of all of a sudden hits you that these are now things that you're completely responsible for. Um, one thing that was really hard for me I mean, when I was in college, my last 2 years, I did live in a house with a bunch of girls, and so I wasn't on, like, a meal plan or anything, but even still, like, I wasn't really cooking. I I remember I had frozen chicken, and all of a sudden, I'm, like, freaking out in my kitchen being like, all I have are these, like, frozen chicken cutlets, like, what do I do with them? And, like, my roommate had to show me how to, like, cook a chicken from, like, frozen, and anywho, I was mainly making, like, pasta. I also was in a sorority in college, so I would often go there for free meals or, like, my boyfriend could cook, so, like, he would cook me a lot of my food, or I would just get, like, things that were easy to whip up, but all of a sudden, I'm living on my own, and I'm like, "Oh, I have to, like, completely provide my own sustenance. Like there's no one else here to help with that at all. And that was really hard for me because I was really scared. Like I was really scared to cook.
I find it very intimidating to this day. I find it just really like, now I know some things and of course, but it's just I still don't feel confident about it, and I feel like I need to just, like, do it by just, like, forcing myself to do more things to, like, I learn how to do it and feel more comfortable, but I feel like it can just be, like, very intimidating. And we were saying before that, before we started recording, that one thing that sort of helped us like get kickstarted with it is like doing one of those like meal, not like a meal prep, but like meal
It's like the meal kits.
services
Yeah, like HelloFresh, Home
or Home
Chef, Blue
Chef.
Apron, whatever. Like there are so many of them now. But
Yeah, there's, like, so many out there, and they, like what's really nice is that they just, like, provide you all of the ingredients, and they're already, like, the correct amount, so
yeah.
it just takes out a lot of guesswork of, like, you going to the grocery store and being like, "Well, what do I need to get to make a meal?" Like, it provides you the recipe, provides you all the ingredients, and tells you exactly how to do it, and they're usually, like, fairly simple and not that long to make, and I feel
Yeah.
like that was a very good way to be like, "Okay, like, here's a way for us to start learning how to make some things and like learn how to use things like on the stove and in the oven.
Totally. I found it so helpful. That comes with like little picture cards. Like there's like 6 steps, like low stakes. But that was the first time I had ever cooked like chicken on the stove. I was so scared I would only bake it before then because I was like, I don't know
Yeah.
how to do this.
I
This is
was
stressful.
paranoid that I was gonna give myself or somebody else food poisoning, that I was gonna, like, not cook all the way through, like, my meats. Then I learned you can just get a meat thermometer, and that really changes your life,
Yeah.
so
Okay,
that's a hack for later.
Okay, another the sorry, this is like a random hack, but this it's kind of like a meat thermometer. I like to have a lot of plants these days, and I get very stressed because I never know when they're supposed to be watered. Like, I look it up, I try to remember, it really stresses me out, but I got this thing on Amazon that like tells you it's like a meat thermometer basically. You like plop it into the soil of your plant and it tells you like how much moisture is in there.
Oh, so it can, like, clue you into if you need to water it or not.
Yeah, so it'll tell me if it's dry, if it needs more water, or if it's, like, too wet, which at that point, there's literally nothing you can do, so that's unfortunate, but, it's super helpful, it's like a meat thermometer. I'm like, "Oh, okay, it needs water," like, or does it? Finally, I'm like, someone just answered this question for me. Like, I'm tired of asking these rhetorical questions. I don't know if it's rhetorical or, but just like a question into the void. Like, how do I know when my plant needs water? Like, another thing that's hard as an adult, it's like, oh, every adult has 8 million plants in their apartment. But I'm like, how do I take care of this? What? Like, no one taught, like, I guess someone taught me, like, our dad likes to garden, like, but this is different. Like, I don't know. I don't, where is the best lighting in my apartment for this
Yeah.
succulent? I don't know. Like, this is hard to learn these things.
Yeah, it is. And it's also like, our parents tried to teach us to cook things when we were younger, to be fair, in the house. And like I knew how to make pasta, but I didn't have the interest in learning how to cook because I was like, you guys cook for me. So there's really no motivation for me to learn how to cook for myself because you guys cook better than I do. And so I don't need to learn. But then
Totally.
when I'm in an apartment by myself, and I also, when I first moved to New York City, I lived alone
Yeah.
and I had never lived alone before. And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, so how am I gonna eat?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, I guess it's time to learn how to make some basic things." I remember my mom taught me some, like, really basic, like, "Here's how you can, like, bake salmon with teriyaki in the oven." It's, like, so easy, but it's, like, very yummy, and it's good for you. And I was like, "Okay, I can handle this."
Yeah. Another thing too is like all of a sudden now you're grocery shopping for yourself. And I remember like I texted my dad being like, how much should I spend on groceries? Like,
Right, what's an
what?
obscene amount of food? Or, like, what
Yeah.
much of these things cost?
I was like, Dad, do you know that red meat costs like $15? And he's like, yeah. Like, oh my God. Like, what is happening?
Yeah, so true. I still hate grocery shopping for a number of reasons. Top reasons including one, it's cold in the store and I'm always
Hmm.
freezing in
Hmm.
there.
It is cold in there.
Two, I tend to go when I'm hungry, which is a bad idea because I like start to get hangry and also I just like put way more things in the cart than I really need. Or other alternative, like other extreme, I show up to the grocery store really like set on like creating a new healthy lifestyle for myself.
Yeah. Oh my God. I do
And
that
then,
all
like,
the
later
time.
I get home and I'm like, "What the I don't want any of these snacks. Like, where
It's
are all
like
my snacks?"
like once every 6 months, I'm like, "I'm a new person." And it's like, "No, I'm not. No,
I buy,
I'm
like,
not."
all good for me foods, and then I'm like, but I where's my cookies? Like,
Right, I'm like, "I'm
I'm
gonna stop
hungry."
snacking." And then I get home and I'm like, "Where are the snacks?" Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing to eat in this place. It's crazy. Okay, but here's some grocery store hacks though that I have found. First of all, if you're a young adult, you should be shopping at Trader Joe's. If you're not, you're making a mistake. Start shopping there. It makes your life 8 million times easier because there's so many pre-made options.
That's so
But
true.
also, another thing, if you're a meat eater, buy pre-marinated meats.
Yep.
It's gonna save you so much time, so many ingredients, and it's gonna taste good. So just I'm talking a lot of pre-marinated stuff. Also, the frozen food section anywhere, especially at Trader Joe's, is, like, slept on. Like, y I make
Yeah.
so many meals from frozen things, and I feel like frozen food gets a bad rep because we think of like lean cuisines.
Yeah, I feel like when I was a kid, I just thought frozen food was only, like, TV tray foods or whatever.
And
Yeah,
it's
like
like,
lean cuisine or
no.
whatever. And it's like, no, there's, like, plenty of just regular foods that you freeze and then just heat it up later.
Right. Like, especially like we were talking about, it's hard to grocery shop for one. It's much easier if you buy like a frozen bag of broccoli because then you take out the amount you want when you
Yeah.
need it
Well, yeah,
and
so
you
much
don't
food
waste it.
goes bad, like,
Right.
especially when I lived alone, I was just like, "Oh my gosh, all this food goes bad before I can even use it." And so it's like, you get, like, chicken from the grocery store, and then it's like, "Okay, cook the one that you wanna eat tonight or 2 or whatever, and then the rest of it, you freeze it, and you
Yeah.
save it for later."
I put so much stuff in the freezer. I put my bagels in the freezer
I put
because
my bread in the freezer because it goes bad.
right, and it's like, listen, I cannot be expected to eat one loaf of bread by myself every time. Like, I can't, okay? Sometimes, yes, I can do it. Other times, I just want one piece of bread, okay? And it's a lot of pressure to ask one woman to eat a whole loaf of bread by herself within 3 to 4 days.
I'm probably up to the challenge, but should I be? No.
No. Like, could I do it? Yes, but I don't always wanna have to do it. So, anywho, it's hard. I hope other people are relating to this because I think it's really challenging. Um, Another thing that's on our list that I wanna expand upon is going to the post office. Like, it's
I
really hard.
cannot express how difficult I find it to go to the post office. The lengths that I will go to avoid going to the post office are extreme. I will rather drop off my own personal mail at my work office's, like, mail drop box, like, slot area so I
Uh-huh.
can just, like, do it there, or I make Mike do it. I'm like, "Mike, will you be going near the post office anytime soon?" He's like, not really, but, like, I'll be out today. I'm like, "Can you mail this for me?" Because I I don't know why, but just the idea of having to go all the way to the post office to wait in line to, like, get my package stamped and mailed, I just oh,
Here's the thing,
it's
the
too
post
much.
office is really challenging. Here's the thing that I've also noticed, like, as adults now, these days, like, most of us don't have printers. Like, I don't own a printer, and a lot of times you need to print out return labels,
Oh,
and this is
yeah.
incredibly challenging. I
Every place is like, "Drop off your thing, like, with our printed label and drop it off at USPS." And I'm like,
I'm
"No,
like,
I
"I
don't
don't have a
want to."
printer." So then I have to go to FedEx to print and pay $1, which is, like, not that much money, but it's very frustrating. Here's the thing, thank God that I'm back in my office now because I can print it at the office, and it saves me so much panic and stress because I can print it out and then I put it in my office's mailroom, but, like, not everyone can do that, and it's very frustrating. It's very stressful, but here's the thing, here's things that I have learned. First of all, if you can, ship through UPS or FedEx, not USPS, because they're much nicer at UPS and FedEx. And also, they'll print it for you, they'll charge you for it, but they'll take away the hassle of
Yeah,
having
the
to
convenience factor is worth it.
yeah. Also, stamps, things that those are things that you need as adults that I
You
don't
can
wanna go
order
to the
them
post office.
online.
Yep, I get mine from Amazon.
Yeah, order that online. You don't have to go in to get
I don't
those.
go to the post office, I order them on Amazon, and you can order the, like, forever ones, because that's
Mhm.
also the thing, like, don't get the ones that aren't forever because then the
How many
postage
letters do you
change.
really send? Like, you're not
Right.
gonna run out of them that quick.
Right, but also, like, the postage changes, so you need to buy those, like, forever ones.
Yeah, I always get the forever ones because 'cause I'm like, I cannot be bothered to figure out what the current price is for an envelope.
I can't even express to you how much I cannot be expected to find out how much it costs to mail a piece of a mail. I can't do that. You were asking too much of
It's
me.
just too much.
It's too much.
It's a step too
Anyhow,
far.
okay, also, even, like, living in a city, now I have to find where the post office is, and I have to walk there? Are you kidding me? I have to carry this giant box. Here's the thing, I currently have a giant box. I, like, participated in this thing at work. I, like, volunteered to help make these kits, but this box is, like, 25 to 30 pounds, and now I have to get it to UPS? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I mean, like, I live in a city, I guess I can drive there. Where am I gonna park? Anywho,
That is
well,
the thing. I'm like sometimes I'm like, "Oh, well, I could just drive there. It's not that bad." But I'm like, "There's no parking in front of the USPS near me." And I'm like, I can't deal with this. I just can't. Mike, you take this package.
I can't, I
I
can't.
can't do it."
It's too much. Um, well, I could talk about the post office forever, apparently.
No.
I do wanna say, though, as much as I'm complaining about the post office, I
I
have
do
a lot of
support USPS,
yes,
and I
I
think we
have a
should use
lot of
them.
right.
However,
I have a lot of respect for our postal workers, so I want that to be a clear I did say that FedEx and UPS, the people are nicer, and I do stand by that because the people at the desk at USPS can be a little tough sometimes, but it's because they have to deal with a lot, so I'm not blaming them. I'm just expressing my reality. Anywho,
your anecdotal experience.
yes, yes. Um,
Another adulting task that is stressful and that I took for granted that my parents used to just take care of for me is making doctor's appointments and dentist appointments. And it took me I know so many people who just like during college and after college just didn't see the doctor for like years because they were like,
at
"Oh,
Jack with the
my."
dentist.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike did the same thing. It's just like their parents stopped making their appointments and they were just like, "Oh, whatever," and they just forgot about it. It's like, you used to go to the doctor at least once a year for your annual checkup and the dentist like most times twice a year." And then
Yep.
it's like, what, you just don't go for years? And like I did the exact same thing. Then I was like, I probably should take care of my health in some shape or form.
It took me a while, but I finally got there.
I have finally got at 30 years old, I finally have a doctor for all of my needs.
Yes, I have a doctor for all of my needs. I see them regularly. Um, Here's the thing that I did when I first moved to San Francisco, and I tell everyone this, and some people think it's a great hack, some people think it's absolutely ridiculous. All of my doctors start with San Francisco. San Francisco dermatology, San Francisco gynecology, San Francisco, because I was afraid I was going to forget
Which office was
which
yours?
office I went to, because that has happened to me before. In
That's a
college, I went to an
tactic.
allergist. It took me weeks to figure out what allergist it was. I couldn't remember. So that was my tactic. Now I branch out a little bit
For
because I think I can remember it. But like a great tip, like try to find, city type of doctor or like literally write it down because you're going to forget what doctor you go to. And it's
Yeah, like
actually
create a
quite
note in your
important.
phone. Yeah. I have done it based around like location convenience. Pretty much
Hmm.
all my doctors these days are right nearby because I just like cannot be bothered to like drive to another town to
Yeah.
go seek care. So,
Also, another way to make making doctor's appointments so much easier is when you go, actually make the follow-up appointment when you're there and
yeah.
put it in your calendar so you don't have to worry about calling in again to make an appointment.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah, you're
something I
when you're
used to
already
not
there,
wanna
it's so
do.
much easier.
I used to not wanna do that because I didn't wanna have to commit because I was like, "Okay, I
What
just
if my
came here."
plans change?
Yeah, well, also, it's like, I just do you know how long it took me to get to make this dentist appointment and actually show up, and now you're asking me to do it again, and I just did it? But the thing is that once you start, putting it on a calendar, then you don't have to worry about it anymore. It's
Yeah,
on the
then it's like
calendar.
already booked. You don't have to call them. Some places it's nice. You have like online portals or whatever, and you can like make
Yeah.
your appointment online. Love that. But another thing I learned when you become an adult is that doctors' offices get like crazy busy and they're just like, oh
So
yeah, we're
busy.
booked. Like you can't just like call and be like, I'm sick. Can I come in today? I mean, sometimes people will squeeze you in, but they're like, yeah, sorry, your doctor's booked for the next like 6 weeks. And you're like, what? So you
Also,
gotta book that stuff in advance.
a key tip is to be really nice to your doctors and the
Yeah.
people that book the appointments.
Mm-hmm.
Just be so nice to them because you want them in your corner. I remember, so I have an ear, nose, and throat doctor for my various ear, nose, and throat ailments. And I needed to go see my doctor because I had an earring infection. And I called them and they were like, yeah, we don't have availability for 6 weeks. And I was like, no, listen, please, my ear is currently infected. I can't wait 6 weeks to see a doctor. And she's like, okay, give me a minute. She came back. She's like, we can see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. And I was like, amazing. I will be there tomorrow at 8 a.m. You got to be nice to these people because all of a sudden you're going to need to see them immediately
Yeah.
and you're going to need someone in your corner.
100%.
And kind of along that line, something that's been so helpful for me is just actually using the calendar on my phone and putting every single thing
Oh,
on that
yeah.
calendar. anything. I'm hanging out with my friends, it's on the calendar because I'm gonna forget. There are too many things you have to remember as an adult because you actually have responsibilities and things that you need to happen. So you have to write them down and like let technology help you. Like let it assist you where it can. This is what it was made for. Like put on the reminders, color code. Like
Yeah.
I
I'm all
use
about my color-coded calendar, and I've,
yeah.
like, extended it to be, like, I have one. I also have a calendar that's, like, on the fridge that Mike and I share, so we both know each other's events as well. I'm obsessed with using the reminders app
Oh
on the
yeah, me too.
phone because it's like a checklist, but you can also set, like, a timer for it, so I can remind myself, like, a week from now at 6 p.m., like, "Oh, don't forget to do this," or I can set myself a reminder like, "Don't forget you were gonna go to CVS after work today," or whatever, because
Yep.
I cannot remember anything, and if as long as it pops up on my phone on my home screen, I'm like, "Oh, right, I was gonna go do that," or, "Oh, yeah, I forgot I was gonna call and make this appointment today."
Yeah. And I feel like what it means to be an adult, your time is so limited because now if you're kind of living the standard 9 to 5 life, like you're working most of the hours of your day. The, and so you need to really maximize the hours that you have. So you can't waste time being like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, or like, I don't remember, or like, what are the things that need to get done? Like, you just got to write it down because otherwise, like, you're going to spend so much time like trying to remember all of these things instead of just like doing them. And I feel like you really need to, yeah, like realize that time is super precious.
We also, got some answers to our polls on Instagram from listeners about some adulting tasks that stress them out, and, one of the ones we got was picking out a health insurance plan.
Yeah.
And that is so real because no one teaches you how to do that. No one teaches you, like,
No.
what are the things that you should care about in your health insurance plan? Like, what's reasonable? What's, like, expected? What's standard? It's just, like, and also, no one teaches you, like, how to do the transition from your parents' insurance plan to your own, and it was just,
Right.
like, a whole thing for me because I was, like, on my parents' insurance, and then I was on student insurance when I was in law school, but then my student insurance ended, but there was also a gap between when I finished law school and when I started my new job that I was like, "What insurance do I get for these, like, 3 months?" And so then I was like, "I need to get my state insurance." I was like, "How do I do that?" And, like, you have to register for it, and oh my god, so much paperwork.
Yeah, no, and also too, even when like, okay, I'm gonna take, my employment's insurance, like there's often a ton of options. And you're like, there's like the silver plan, like the gold plan. Like, what does this mean? Like, what do I
Yeah.
need?
And there's,
I
like,
don't know.
PPO, and then there's, like, flex plan, like, flexible spending pla I'm like, "I don't know what I need." Like, I'm, like, a relatively healthy-ish person. I'm like, "Am I gonna go to the doctor a ton? I don't know."
It's super challenging. I would say something that I found helpful is if you work for like a larger company, you're not I don't know if this is the same for like state insurance or student insurance, but if you work for a company, like normally there's a benefits person or there's like a benefits program that your team, like your office uses, and you need to set up a meeting with them. Be like, I don't understand the
Yeah.
health insurance plans. Or sometimes they'll offer like, sessions where you can go and learn more about your health insurance. Like you need to go to those.
Yeah. Ask questions.
Ask questions or also like call your health insurance company and like they have representatives that are literally meant to walk you through your insurance plans and help you pick.
Mhm.
It's a hassle though. Like there's no easy way to do it.
Another, adulting task that we got from someone was just generally like tidying and making your home look presentable for
Yeah,
guests, like just realizing that, oh yeah, like your parents like probably did a lot of the tasks that made everything look tidy, everything's put together, people come over, it looks presentable, and now I'm like, oh yeah, like when people are like about to come over, I start like cleaning things. And I'm like, oh yeah, like people can't just come over and like my crap is everywhere. Like there can't just be like piled dishes in the sink. Like there can't just be my clothes strewn over my bed and dresser. Um
totally. I used to like not really understand why our parents got so flustered before people come over, and now I am them as an adult.
yeah.
Even when like my closest friends are coming over, I'm like, Jack, we need to vacuum the whole apartment. And he's like, do we? I'm like, yes, like everything needs to be clean.
Or, like, things in the bathroom, I'm like, "Oh my god, I need to clean the sink. I need to, like, spray
Yes.
the mirror." Like,
I
all
I'm
these
like so
things.
stressed. I'm like, this is not something I ever thought about, but now all of a sudden it feels like your home is a reflection on like how you're doing in life.
Yeah, it's like, are you put together or not?
Yeah, like are you an adult? Like is your toilet clean? If it's not, you know? That's also I feel like that's a tip. Like if you have people coming over, if there's only one, okay, I would say two things. If there's only two things you have time for, clean your toilet and
Yep.
vacuum.
Yeah,
Those are the things people will notice.
that's so true. I'm, like, trying to think of, like, what when I'm in somebody's house, I'm like, most things I'm like, I'm not paying that close attention, but, a lot of times if you go to visit somebody's house and you're staying there long enough, like, you'll go into the bathroom at some point.
Yeah.
So,
But just like if you're having a party, think about what people are really using. It's like your bathroom and they're walking on your floors. So,
yeah. That is the other thing, like, sweeping, like and, like, when we were growing up, like, sometimes our parents, but, like, also friends' parents would be like, "Oh, take your shoes off." And I'd be like, "What do you mean? Like, I should just walk around in my shoes." Like, I just child carefree lifestyle. And now I'm like, "Yeah, of course I'm gonna take my shoes off. I'm tracking stuff all over the place. I'm
yeah.
making it dirty to walk on everything."
Yeah, I'm like I'm not wearing my shoes around the house. That's a no. I
Yeah.
immediately take my shoes off and I put my inside slippers on.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, "I don't
And
wanna be
those slippers
sweeping
do
these
not go
floors forever."
outside. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you have your indoor shoes and your outdoor shoes. Just like Olivia, you have your
Mhm.
clothes for the outside and not those don't go on your bed.
Nope, I have my outdoor clothes and my indoor clothes. Thank you very much. And it was tough during COVID because it was like, wait, I'm always in my pajamas. So then I had
Yeah.
my inside pajamas and my outside pajamas, like if I had to go take the dog for a walk. Another thing that Rebecca and I were talking about that we've started to notice as we've become adults is what I would like to kind of overarchingly call body betrayal.
Yeah.
And it's just the overwhelming realization that your body is not the body of a 16-year-old anymore. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying this at all about appearance. I'm saying this about genuinely how it feels and how it starts like creaking
Yeah.
like an old
That
house.
sound when I sit down or stand up now.
Like I get hip pain. Like what? Like my joints get sore so much more easily than they used to. Like I
Yeah, or
just
it's like
can't.
I sleep weird one night and my, like, whole neck the next day is messed up. I'm like, "What is going on here?"
Yes. Or like if you're someone who drinks and like you drink a lot, like the next day, like my body can't handle it anymore. I'm worn down. And that's tough. That's tough. I don't have a hack. I don't think there
There's
is
no
one.
great hack for that. I mean, I guess maybe regular exercise so that
And
it
like
doesn't
stretching.
deteriorate
Yeah,
further,
yeah.
but,
But like even still, like that's all I've got.
Yeah. So true. Another one that we were thinking about is just, like, how much effort you have to put into keeping up with people and, like, seeing people. When you're younger, it's just, like, you're either at school, so you just run into them, or when you're a kid, your parent might, like, organize a play date for you or something, so you don't even have to worry about your social calendar because somebody else handles that for you. But now it's like, "Oh, I wanna see my friends." Well, we both have jobs, and we have things to do and errands to run and appointments to go to, and we're all exhausted after our work day, so it's like, "When am I gonna see you?" I don't know, 6 weeks from now." And you have to, like, put it on the calendar.
I literally schedule time with my friends months in advance. It's insane. It's just also too like yeah, not having those built-in activities to kind of keep a friendship going. Like you have to reach out to people.
Yeah.
It's wild. And also too like keeping up with people and just general correspondence. Like
Yeah.
I remember watching him I think it might have been Gilmore Girls, and someone asks Emily like what she's doing and she's like, "Oh, I'm just like doing my correspondence." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And now I'm like, "Oh, right." Like Rebecca and I were talking about how now we have to like write thank you notes, to people to let them know like I got your gift and I really appreciated that. Like that's wild. People send out Christmas cards. Like
I know. I gotta get in the Christmas card game.
my friend sent out Christmas cards this year. I'm like, "This is insane," but I also love it. You have to get, like, letterhead. What?
And
Where do
again,
I
like
get
we're saying, you have to get stamps and, like,
right.
as we
Go
know,
to the
we
post
will
office.
not go to the post office, so gotta order that online.
Okay, so to wrap up this episode, we're just gonna end it with some, like, fast hacks, just, like, things that
Just
we've
quick
learned.
fire
Yeah,
hacks.
quick fire hacks, like, things we've learned in our time as adults that have been super helpful.
Yeah. So one is you can wear your jeans more than once. You don't have to wash them after every time that you wear them. Unless they're like really smelly for some reason or you stained them with something. But like there are certain articles of clothing that do not need to be washed after every single use.
Yep. Another one, you always should have a wipe with you, like, literally baby wipes or, like, a Tide pen or something for when you get a stain or, like, if there aren't, if there isn't toilet paper, like,
Yeah, it's just that
or
there's infinite number of situations in which you can use a baby wipe and you'll be glad that you had it.
yeah, so those should always be in your purse, same with, like, a tissue, like, my friend was telling me the other day, I don't actually remember this, but apparently we were out once, like, at a bar, and there was no toilet paper, and I was like, "Don't worry, guys, I have toilet paper." And I was like, "Wow, I don't feel like I do that enough anymore," but that was really smart of me. This was specifically when I was studying abroad in Spain because I feel like they were notorious for not having toilet paper, but, like, that's just a good hack in general. Like,
Yeah, just so useful at all times. If you're a person who gets periods, I would recommend using a period tracking app.
yeah,
It's
like,
it's very useful.
don't manually put that in your calendar. There's an app for that, okay?
Pretty
Like,
much
you
every
don't.
time I go to the doctor, they're like, "And when was your last period?" And without the app, I'm like, "I have no idea. I could not possibly tell you."
Nope.
So,
Another thing, and we talked a lot about, like, food stuff already, but cook things in bulk, like, and freeze it if you need to. Like,
yeah,
just have
put
things
things
ready
in
to
the
go.
freezer. Just utilize the freezer. Um, I already touched on the using the reminder app on your phone. So good for all things. Roombas, if you can. If you
Yep.
have a compatible home for a Roomba where like you have kind of a lot of open space, not too many things blocking it, can save you a lot of time.
And if you don't wanna have a Roomba, like, invest in a good vacuum cleaner. Like, stop using your grandma's vacuum cleaner that she got as a wedding gift. Like,
Right. Like one
you
that's
need a
like
good vacuum.
compact and powerful.
Yep. Oh, another one, back to body betrayal, don't sleep on your stomach. It's not good for your neck or your spine. Look it up. Like, don't do that. It's not good for you. Sleep on your side. Okay? That's how you should be sleeping. And also invest in a good pillow. Okay?
Mhm.
Stop buying pillows from IKEA. It's gonna mess up your back. Buy one of those pillows where you can adjust, like, the foam on the inside. That's what's really gonna do it for you.
Another hack that we got was from a listener which said like make sure that if your employer offers a 401k plan, you get in on that. And especially if they do matching, take advantage of your employer's matching program as early as possible.
Do it as soon as you get a job, and you will never think about it again.
Yeah.
You won't even remember that you're losing money. I mean, you're
Yeah.
not really
You
losing it because 'cause
won't
you're
miss it
saving
because
it,
you'll
but
never see it.
yep. And those are our fast hacks. If you have more, tell us, and we'll share them on our Instagram for everybody.
Yes, we would love to know more. Please tell us how to adult better. If you have hacks for making the post office less painful, please let me know.
Specifically the post office. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. And we already know about the post office, like, delivery one. Okay, we know about that. If you're not, do you know about that, Rebecca?
What delivery thing? I know that they'll mail you stamps, but
No, 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 but, like, that they'll tell you what's, like, getting delivered in the mail today?
oh, yes, I
Okay,
live for
thank
that.
God.
I
I was
love
like,
my daily email that tells me all the mail I'm getting. I
I have
love
it
it.
for USPS, I have it for UPS, I have it for FedEx. If a package is coming, I know, like, 3 to 5 business days in advance, okay? If
Mhm.
you aren't on that, you should be doing that. That was, sorry, a last minute add to the fast hack.
So we hope you enjoyed today's episode on adulting tasks that stress us out and our quick hacks to make them less painful. As Olivia said, please let us know if you have any to share with us on our Instagram at sisterlypod, and we'll catch you next week.